along with the second coming of Jesus Christ is the ultimate destruction of the wicked, what we call hellfire. And I want you to note with me that the Bible tells us in Revelation 20, verse 14 and 15, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. As Seventh-day Adventists, we believe exactly what Malachi chapter 4, verses 1 through 3 states. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as calves in the stalls. And you shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. We believe, according to the Bible, that when the wicked are destroyed, there is nothing left of them. The fire totally consumes the wicked. God does not punish the wicked throughout all eternity. They are turned into ashes. There is nothing left. Put a one in the chat if you believe that when Jesus comes again, every eye sees him. The dead are raised, the righteous dead are raised, the wicked are put to death. Satan is bound. We are caught up together in the clouds to meet the Lord with the air. He comes and every eye sees him. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Put a one in the chat if you believe that when the wicked are ultimately destroyed, there is nothing left of them. The fire totally consumes them. That is a teaching of hellfire. And then I want you to note this, because connected with the teaching of the second coming is the understanding of what happens to a person when they die. There's a reason Jesus is going to resurrect the dead. If they were in heaven right now, what would be the purpose of them being resurrected if they are in heaven? And why would they want the old decrepit bodies left here on earth if their spirits are in heaven? No. As Seventh-day Adventists, we believe, according to Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5, for the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. This is what we believe. Verse 6 says also, their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. We believe that when a person dies, they are asleep in the grave. They know nothing. They are absolutely perished. They are absolutely let me not use the word perish. They are absolutely unconscious. They know nothing. They can feel nothing. And they will remain in that state until Jesus comes to take them home. They are asleep. The counterfeit of this is that when the dead die, they just live on. They don't really die. There's no such thing as death. They just transition from one form of life to another. So they continue to live on. Just as a counterfeit of the true teaching of hellfire is that the wicked burn forever and ever and ever and ever. And then we believe in the seventh-day Sabbath. We believe that God created man in his image, that God created the world. He created the world in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh day. We believe this. We do not believe the counterfeit that because of the New Testament, the Sabbath was changed from the last day of the week to the first day of the week. There is no evidence in the Bible to suggest this whatsoever. And finally, we believe in this thing called the sanctuary. Daniel 8, chapter 14, Exodus 25, verse 8, the New Testament, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, the book of Hebrews speaks about a sanctuary. And we believe that in that sanctuary, the plan of salvation is unfolding, and God ultimately will cleanse that sanctuary before he comes again. And this is what it means to be a Seventh-day Adventist. You shall know the truth, Not period. You shall know the truth. All right, we're good to go. You know the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. If the truth, if the doctrine does not have an effect on our character, we do not yet understand what it means to be a Seventh-day Adventist. Come on, let's break it down. See, here's what I want you to understand. If you are keeping the Sabbath as a sign in remembering what God did back at the creation, if that is the only reason you are keeping the Sabbath, you do not yet understand the purpose of the Sabbath. I want you to understand that yes, we are to commemorate what God did back there at creation. In fact, if we go to the Bible and we go to the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 8, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and all that in them is, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Here's what I need you to grasp. The Sabbath is the sign of God's creative power. Now, the Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation, meaning that the other reason we ought to be keeping the Sabbath is not just because of God's creative power back there at creation week, but it is also a sign of God's creative power in you. Just as God, back there at creation, came upon a world that was without form and void, you need to remember that before God entered into your life was without form and void. Chaos was on the face of the deep. And then, if by the grace of God, the Spirit of God began to move upon you, and God said, let there be light, day 1, and then led you into baptism through the waters, day 2, and then started to produce fruit in you, day 3, and then gave you the Son of Righteousness as your new guiding light, day 4, and then said, I'm calling to make you a fisher of men, day 5. And then recreates you in his image and in his likeness, day 6. Then, beloved, the Sabbath for you is a sign that God has recreated you.